What's up, everybody? Today I'm here to discuss the spoilers on Solo, a Star Wars story. If you haven't had the chance to see this film yet, I also have a spoiler-free review that you can check it out. And if you don't really care, about spoilers, let's talk about it. Okay, so the movie starts with Han and Qi'ra in Corellia, where he's from, and they are together. And at the very beginning, I actually thought that their relationship was cute. And everyone, it's cute to see someone have, their first love and then, eventually followed by heartbreak. And so I did like that. But as the film progressed, I actually didn't like it because I thought that they intensified the relationship a little bit too much. Like, Han was absolutely in love with her. He was completely obsessed with her. And one of the things that I thought that was a little bit annoying is because the entire first half of the film, his entire motivation, once he got separated from her, it was just to, make money and go back there so he could save her. Again, at the very beginning, I really didn't mind, but then later on, they were making out of the Falcon, the Millennium Falcon. I was like, what are you doing? That's not your princess. The thing is, we do have SJWs behind Lucasfilm. And what I don't want to happen is Han and Leia's relationship to be undermined because of his relationship with Qi'ra. Obviously this is in a different timeline. This is way before he met Leia. But again, with the new direction that these movies are going, they could completely just change characters. She might be still alive by the time the original trilogy happens, and by the time, Han Solo left Leia, for instance, because at The Force Awakens, we already know that he had left Leia because, Kylo Ren had turned to the dark side. We really don't know how long they were apart, but we do know that they broke up, and that was kind of sad, and in my opinion, that was not Han's character. And even the dice, that before we knew that he won the Millennium Falcon with the dice, but the dice in this film is a little bit different. He actually already has the dice when the movie starts, and he gives it to Qi'ra, and then Qi'ra gives it back to him, and that's hanged on the Millennium Falcon. So I just don't want to, this Han, I have to why am I calling him Han? Does Han always have Qi'ra in mind this whole time? I don't want that to affect his future relationship. And, in my opinion, I think Kathleen Kennedy, it's not that hard for they to simply just tell us one day that actually happened. Can you imagine, like, Han cheated on Leia with Qi'ra, someone that from his past? So I don't know. Obviously, it's too far ahead. We don't know if she's gonna die. We just know that they're not gonna end up together because he's with Leia. However, she could still play a role maybe somewhere in the future, and I just hope that doesn't happen at all, because that would definitely break my heart, and it would definitely undermine Han as a character as well. But anyways, so that was one of the issues that I had. I wanted this to be more about Han Solo and not other characters to kind of unshine him and his story. The second thing about Han Solo that bugged me in this film was his name. His name was given by an Imperial officer. And I'm not so sure how I feel about that. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think about that? But I believe that Han Solo, this is one of the things that he's not in this movie. The Han Solo that we meet in the original trilogy, he's very kind of arrogant, he likes to brag and things like that. But in this movie, he's not like that. And it was weird to me that an Imperial Guard would give him the name Solo, and then he would just take that name and just not change it and just stick with it. It would be more believable, in my opinion, if he gave the Imperial Guard his name, call me Solo, because he's always Solo or things like that. But again, this character, this Han Solo version in particular, it's absolutely nothing like our original Han Solo. He doesn't have that kind of coolness or that arrogance, and that leads me to the third problem that I had. That, when we meet Han Solo in the original trilogy, he is this kind of arrogant guy that, I don't really care about anyone's. However, his relationship with Luke and Leia and his friendship, their friendship is what sparked the heroism inside of him, and that's how he, came back to save Luke Skywalker, and they built that strong relationship. And then later in the second Empire Strikes Back, he did save Luke's life. So you can tell that he's a very, very loyal character, and that was brought up by the original characters. However, in this movie, he does already have that kind of heroic thing. He's not like that arrogant guy that doesn't really care about anyone, that is just want to take care of his own. I kind of wanted to see a little bit of the bad side of Han Solo, him being a little bit of a bad boy, and that was definitely not this specific character. Obviously, I don't think that it really destroyed my image of Han in the original trilogy, I would call it, but it's still a problem that I couldn't really connect to it. So then after the very beginning, when he's Kira, they do eventually get separated, and then he gets his name. And when he gets separated, he ends up going to fight for the Empire, He becomes a trooper. And there's this little scene where he's in the middle of a war, and that is where he runs into Beckett and Beckett's gang. Soon he noticed that Beckett is not. Beckett is actually, and the gang is all dressed up as Imperial guards. However, they were just infiltrated there, and Han Solo notices that, and he basically just wants to join Beckett because he wants to get away from that, because he wants to go save Kira. So this whole motivation at the very beginning, it's about Kira. Beckett is kind of that, he is not really a father figure, which is what I thought he would play, but he is kind of a mentor in a way, that he's kind of giving Han these life lessons, because he's still kind of, I would even say naive, in this movie. Anyways, moving forward, he's taken into prison, and basically they throw him out in this hole that is pretty much a mud hole, okay? And they say that there's this beast in there, and the beast is going to eat him, or something like that. So then he falls in there, and obviously the beast is Chewbacca. And one of the things I was really looking forward to see in this film is Han Solo meeting Chewbacca. So then Chewbacca is there, he's all dirty and with mud, and obviously he straight start attacking Han Solo. The troopers that threw Han Solo in the hole had told him before that the beast hadn't eaten in 3 days. So he's attacking Han Solo, but doesn't really seem that he wants to eat him. He's just really attacking him for no reason. But anyways, that's kind of the thing that I always thought Han and Chewie would do, especially if they got into an argument or anything like that. But I thought that was kind of funny. And then when he's really like, Chewbacca is really about to, murder Han, I'd say, Han starts speaking Wookiee and basically just tell him, I'm a friend, we should get together and just get out of here. I'm not your enemy. And Chewbacca, they immediately connect. Even though it sounded a little bit silly, I did appreciate that scene because this is something we haven't heard before, and it's probably because I don't think Harrison Ford would ever say, I am not doing that, because it's very typical of Harrison Ford. I'm not going to try to talk Wookiee or anything. But I did appreciate that because it's something, even though it did sound silly, it was kind of new. And so basically what happened there is that they are having, he tells Chewbacca, pretend that you are hitting me, but then we're just going to hit this pole, and the pole is holding on to the ceiling, right? So then that's going on. Chewbacca is kind of hitting this pole, and Han Solo is screaming, and that was kind of a really cool scene. Of course, the pole breaks, and then the ceiling falls on the ground, and then they escape. Now, I really liked the part where they escaped, because Chewbacca's and Han Solo's, they were both chained together. But when they escape the hole, Chewbacca runs one direction and Han Solo runs the other one. And obviously Chewbacca is the stronger guy, so Han Solo falls on the floor and Chewbacca keeps running on the opposite direction. So I thought that was a cute scene. That was one of the fun moments that I had. Then he tells Chewbacca, kind of convinces Chewbacca we should not go that way, we should go this way, because again he does not give up on going to meet with Beckett because Beckett was about to leave and go do this big job where he wanted in, because if he was able to do this big job, he would get enough money and go back and save Kira. It's always about Kira. So they're inside that ship and they're about to go do this other job. And then there's this very weird scene that I don't know how to feel about it. But mainly, Han Solo is in the shower. And the shot starts on, the camera is right down on the ground and you just see Han Solo's feet and water, okay? And then suddenly you just see a very hairy feet right next to Han Solo's feet. And trust me, it is not Frodo's feet, but it is Chewbacca's. Then the camera cut to up and then you see Han Solo and Chewbacca very close together in the shower. Obviously that was put there for the purpose of gag. And again, if there is a second mini, to me, Han and Chewbacca are always going to be friends. And that was just kind of a silly moment there. But I don't know how people are going to take that. I thought it was like, ooh, that's weird and funny at the same time. And then Han tells him, could you not have waited until I was done or something like that? Anyways, they head into this location where they're supposed to still feel... I don't know what's the deal with the new Star Wars and feel, but this is called coaxium or something like that. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. Doesn't matter. So that's the scene that you saw on a train where, they're attacking that little train that looks like a roller coaster. The whole CGI and the cinematography was pretty great. This is one of the things that I liked at this scene because, it's a little bit darker. I like the colors. But anyways, they're trying to seal this coaxium. And then they succeed in doing so. But then it's where, at that point, we are introduced to the Enfys Nest character. That at that point everyone thinks she's a pirate. I already said she's a she. By the way, she's a little girl underneath the mask that is completely predictable. I already expected she was going to be a girl. Ooh, big deal, whatever. But anyways, so Enfys Nest is there with the pirates and pretty much trying to steal the coaxium from Han Solo and Beckett. There's a couple of deaths in this movie, but there's not a lot of weight to it because, the character, I believe her name is Val, it's not really that greatly developed for us as the audience to really care for her. So to me, that moment where she blows up, there's no really weight, but you do see Beckett screaming, no! Anyways, but then also the other character that is driving the pilot of their ship also gets shot and also dies, and no one seems to care. But anyway, so then they managed to release the cart, and he basically saved Chewbacca's life in that moment. Then the coaxium all falls on the ground, and Beckett is really mad at Han Solo because obviously Val's died because of that. Beckett tells Han Solo that the coaxium belongs to Paul Bettany's character, the villain. Unfortunately, I didn't really see any weight or anything that it was like menacing about this guy. He's a great vision, but I thought that the character, again, this movie really lacked a strong antagonist, First, I thought it was going to be Enfys Nest, but no. And then I thought maybe it's going to be this guy, and then no. So it really lacked a very powerful and strong villain, because a good villain really carries the story forward. It really creates a lot of obstacles, and it really makes the movie exciting because you're always gonna have the heroes fighting against this villain, and going through these situations where you're always wondering, my God, how are they gonna get away from this guy? But yeah, we didn't have that strong, villain in this movie. But then anyways, Paul Bettany is kind of the owner of this coaxium, and now they need to go talk to him to apologize because they lost it all, whatever. Then they get there to this location. It's kind of a posh location, and that's where I thought I saw a few droids that a few aliens that was a little bit cartoonish and a little bit weird looking. That didn't really feel like Star Wars in my opinion. And there he ends up, Solo meets with Kira again, Turns out that now she's working for this guy. Mainly, Han Solo comes up with a plan so they could regain all the losses. They could go to this other location to get the coaxium. And then again, the story is very predictable. It's very hard for you to create a very compelling film without a strong villain, with established characters that we already know what's going to happen in the future, and still create that edge for you as a viewer. So that's why, to me, it lacked creativity and it lacked originality. I have to say there were fun moments, like fun fan moments that I was like, oh, that was nice. But anyways, that's where they had to where Lando is. Lando is gambling over there, and then Han Solo goes and say, I'm going to gamble with him as well. And that whole gambling sequence was absolutely pointless, because it turned out that Qi'ra already knew Lando. And then later on, even though Han Solo lost the game, Qi'ra still is able to just say, oh, we need a ship, we're going to pay you. And then Lando says, okay, I'm in. As far as Donald Glover performance go, I think he was still very charming. Sometimes he did sounded a lot like the real Lando, but not all the time. I think sometimes the pacing of the film and like the editing, the way that it was put together, it kind of reflected on the characters. Also, in that same location is my worst and least favorite character, the worst character, L3. I just thought that, her design was really ugly, She really always reminded me of the Power Ranger droid, who had, the body looked a little bit weird. And also, I really did not like this droid's personality. She's very sassy, but not in a good way. She's very rude to everyone. She's just like yelling at everyone's face and yelling at like equal rights and all the things like that. But this is where I think it really lacks originality. If you want to put this kind of message out there, you should show it, not tell. You don't need someone to be that aggressive, because it also painting a bad image for feminism as well. It is really, feminism is about balance, right? That L3 was a very annoying character for the most part. From that part on, they do embark on the Falcon, and then they go to this location to pick up the coaxium, and the film picks up a little bit more from that point forward. Falcon looks beautiful, brand new. There's a lot of different locations in the Falcon that we haven't seen before. Like, we see the bedroom, we see the closet, and now and then there's the whole making out scene. Han Solo is making out with Qi'ra in the Millennium Falcon. I didn't really like that. I didn't really like. I was just stop that. But anyways, and then after that, they do get to this location to try to. They have all this plan. And everything there was okay. There's a big fight going on over there. L3 begins a revolution amongst the droid. But towards the end over there, she does get and ends up dying, which I didn't really care, because I didn't really care for the droid at all. But Lando seemed pretty upset, a little too upset for a droid, in my opinion. So that's where the whole pansexual hints from Kasdan that created the whole controversy. But anyway, nothing is really explicit. It would have really been better if he hadn't said anything. But it looked really cool, a little bit of a fight and a hustle over there. That was completely fine. A little while before, we also see Chewbacca doing a couple of fun things, He tries to go and help some other Wookiees that are being slaved over there. And that was a little bit, that was interesting. I wish we had more of that. What I wanted to see was more adventure of Chewbacca and Han Solo. I wanted them to be doing things and like screwing up and getting themselves in trouble. But I feel like we had very little of that, because there's a lot of other stuff being explored in a film that it was not even that necessary. Long story short, that's where the castle run happens. I was expecting to be more of a big deal, perhaps more people being watching that, because Han Solo always brags about it, but basically what he did, he took a shortcut. But the visuals at the very end was absolutely stunning. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are gonna like that, because visually I did enjoy it. I just thought that it went by too fast, and then when he finished, I was like, whoa, that was it? That was the castle run? Whoa, okay. So yes, That's one thing. And then another thing that we don't get to see in this movie is no cameo zone of 3PO and R2-D2. This is the first one that we don't get to see them, unfortunately, breaking tradition there. But again, even though that is a kind of a cute, fun moment for the fans, I love seeing those two. Obviously, you don't want to just do that for the sake of doing that and kind of bringing them two on a position that it completely doesn't make sense. You know, in Rogue One, it kind of made sense that R2 and 3PO would be at that base. But on this one, I don't know how they could do it. So I get it, why they weren't there. But yeah, I wish I could have seen them. By the way, there's no Boba Fett, no Jabba in this movie, but there is a hint towards the end of Tatooine, so perhaps this will be on the following one if they do get to actually make the following one. They go back and then he's trying to trick Qi'ra's boss, but then it turns out that Beckett it's actually betraying Han Solo, and that's another lesson that he learns from Beckett, that do not trust anybody, you know. Yeah, so he's kind of the bad guy in this movie, but again, no real strong antagonist. And then Qi'ra ends up at the, killing her own boss. And then that scene was a little bit weird because then she killed him and then she tells Han, you know, you can go find Beckett and go get back the coaxium. And then suddenly Han Solo just appears in front of Beckett all the way, like, and obviously camera shows Chewbacca carrying the coaxium, and obviously they walked a long time, and it's really like the pacing in there, it really did not make sense because one moment Han Solo is right there with Qi'ra and they are just talking blah blah blah, doesn't even matter, but basically she said I'll be right back with you, which didn't make much sense. And then next scene he's already there with Beckett, and then that's the scene where Han Solo shoots Beckett, and that is where we got the Han shot first. And you know, Han gets a little bit emotional because, you know, he didn't want the guy to die, but the guy said you did a good thing because I was gonna shoot you, and blah 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 blah. Anyways, doesn't really matter. And then there is an interesting scene with Qi'ra. So Qi'ra takes her boss's ring, which means something, and she turns on a hologram, and then in the hologram, boom, is Darth Maul. Now, for people that are not really familiar with the animation, they might be a little bit lost. Last time we saw him, he was cut in half. However, the animation series is canon, and it is shown that he's still alive with a mechanic leg. And then camera, the first that we see, it's from, it's like kind of like a wire. It's kind of a shot where you can totally see a mechanic leg, and then camera cuts to the other side where you can see whoever that hologram is, and then it shows his face, and that's Darth Maul, and he's an aged looking Darth Maul because obviously if you're following the timeline, by this time in the story he must have been much older, and that's where it would link really cool with Obi-Wan, you know. So it would be great to see an Obi-Wan Kenobi story. However, I'm always worried when it's Lucasfilm behind it, you know, because it could not go the way we want, you know. I have no problem with that. I really thought that Darth Maul is a really cool character. If they do make a second film, it would be great to see him on screen. It would be great to see Qi'ra going dark, you know. I don't want to see her relationship with Han. I don't want anything like that. I just want her to be dark and maybe become a Sith or something like that. And perhaps have Obi-Wan in the middle. Now, who knows? That would be something that would be interesting. But again, we do know that Han Solo has not have any connection with the Force or Sith. He never seen anything of that by the time of the trilogy. So it's kind of worrying how would they play out the story with Darth Maul, where in fact we do know that Han Solo does not know anything about the Force or Force users. It's not really his story. He learns all of that by the time he meets with Luke and Obi-Wan in the future. Anyways, guys, heading towards the end, this wasn't the worst film, okay? It was crappy sometimes, you know. Sometimes I really rolled my eyes. for the most part, I didn't have the feeling of Star Wars. You know, a lot of things were off, and it makes me really miss George Lucas. I wish that George Lucas, even though he's not directing, I wish that he would greenlight the scripts at least, you know, or just be a little more involved. But I do understand that I think by the time, right now, he's just tired, you know, to be involved in big productions like this is very stressful. But I do miss, I can't feel Star Wars in this movie, you know, something is missing there. This one, it was not like the most original story. However, it did have some fun moments that people are gonna like. It did have some beautiful visuals. It did have some fan services here and there. But it still suffers on the pacing. I think you can totally tell that there were two directors involved. I didn't really like the music. But again, people have different experience with films. You know, some people might go it and love it, what they see. I myself this did not work for me. Hopefully, they'll do better going forward. I would have loved to see something about the old republics, because really, I think, wouldn't it be great for us to see Sith and Jedis and lightsaber fights? You know, those would be something that would be really great to explore. But anyways, guys, this is the end of my video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave your thumbs up if you enjoyed this review. And I'll see you next time. Bye.